Good morning and welcome back to Open Your Eyes. This is our first conversation. And as we mentioned, we are going to be diving deeper into the community policing initiative and what building a new era of community policing will look like in 2026. To guide us in that conversation, we have here with us Elroy Carcamo in the middle. He is the Superintendent of Police. He's also Deputy Commander and Community-Oriented Policing with responsibility for stakeholder engagement in the North and East. To his left, we have Gerald Jones. He is the Senior Superintendent of Police as well, Commander with Community-Oriented Policing Unit. And to my immediate left, we have Rochelle Chan. He's the Deputy Commander representing the Community Policing, the Community-Oriented Policing Unit. He's an administrator. He's in administration, internal operations, and support with direct responsibility for the West and South. You guys have a lot of hats that you're wearing, so forgive me if I stumbled a little bit through that, but it speaks to the responsibility that each and every one of you carry, and perhaps a lot of the effort that goes into the work as well. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. And thanks for having us here.
Yes. This is an exciting conversation, at least for me and Paul. Well, I could tell you my personal interest in it. I came from a background of volunteering, and so my introduction to volunteering had to do actually with community policing as well. That's how I met Mr. Carcamo about a decade or so ago, in fact. And so now seeing you again, Mr. Carcamo, back in the field doing community policing work is exciting for me. It's very reminiscent of where I came from as well. But for people who might not be familiar with the unit of community policing, I'd like for us to begin there, setting the foundation of what it is, how it differs from that general identity that a police officer might have, but also how important this work is when it comes to building relationships with communities. Perhaps we can begin with you, Mr. Gerald?
Yes, so good morning again, everyone. So looking at community policing, I recently took over office from Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Howell Gillin, with the responsibility for national community-oriented policing. With the strategy that our commissioner have embarked on, he have posted 2 deputy commanders. Each of them have their dual responsibilities in these persons. When it comes to community policing, there's a number of things that we have to get done. There are some programs that we run under community policing that are very viable, and some of them are facing some challenges. We spoke about building trust, confidence, and that is what we're poised to do. We look at fostering a better working relationship with members of the general public, partners, as well as stakeholders. The focus of community policing now in this era is to look at rebuilding, refocusing, and of course, reorganizing the community policing efforts. So we use different programs such as the Do the Right Thing program, the Police Youth Cadet Corps program, the Voluntary Special Constables, Citizens on Patrol, and of course Neighborhood Watch and the Citizen Advisory Committees. All these programs are not really new to community policing, but these programs are set forth to build confidence, build relations, to prevent and reduce crime within vulnerable areas.
How important is it to build relationships with citizens in certain communities or in all communities, where we could just also say that on the other end of this spectrum is you simply respect these officers and you follow the law? Why is there a program like community policing, and why is it so important to build these relationships?
Confidence as well as respect, like what you mentioned. It will be a bit easier for us to speak with members of the communities and be able to get certain information that is needed in order for us to deal with certain criminal elements, or probably just to reduce crime and to foster a safer neighborhood. That is what we are poised to be. Build relations and be able to reduce crime within communities so that each communities can be safe. There are times when people are saying that I don't want to go into a specific neighborhood because I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
That is what we're going to do. We are going to go into that community with our meet and greet program, go into the community, speak about our programs and talk to residents and see how best we can help them, because they would talk to us about their concerns and their suggestions. And we also use that as a platform for us to document and see where we can best place our human resources in terms of police officers patrolling the different areas.
I'm doing a course right now on leadership, and one of the things I'm learning is that in order to hold, the most effective way to hold people accountable and to inspire change is to first build a relationship with them, right? And so relationship is integral to change and accountability. But the challenge also is that relationships are hard to build, especially if you are in a position of authority and a person is below or beneath you, or subordinate, if you would. So I'd like to ask Mr. Karkama, what are some of the challenges that you face as a police officer in building relationships with communities?
Good morning, and thanks again for having me. It has been a while, like what Mr. Brina has said. I was out from community policing unit itself, but not out of community policing, because community policing is within me. And I believe that is the same for my colleagues that are here. But that building relationship within the community, it is difficult. We need to understand as individual and as a group that every community has its own way of operating. And you cannot build relationship from in an office. You have to go out there. You have to meet the community. You have to understand them. And it is not, you are not always welcome at times. And so as past and now community policing officer again, one of the things that we usually do is find leaders within that community. You identify leaders that people have already been looking up to, because changing a community will not happen overnight. It takes a while to reach a certain extent, and it will take a while, maybe an even larger period, to get to where we want it to. But going into the community, finding leaders that these community members respect, talking with them, getting them to understand the concept. Part of my portfolio is stakeholders engagement. And a lot of times we as police officers go out there and we deal with the community, and we cannot operate to a certain level that the stakeholders have. For example, we are out there dealing with a child with behavioral problems. Maybe our officers aren't trained for that, so we need to know which entity to go to. And by having that good relationship with the different stakeholders, it makes our life better, it makes it easier. It also gives the community that opportunity to know where to go and get the resources that is out there, because there's a lot of resources. It's just that we do not know, or we are not aware of how to get it, and that is part of our role and function, to try to see how best we can minimize crime and violence by enhancing the quality of life within the area that we live, working with the community.
And the collaborations are important as
That's
well.
right,
I love that you highlighted that, Mr. Karkama, because you spoke about stakeholders and their involvement, where you might feel that you lack in involving or interacting with certain bodies. These stakeholders can step in and provide that support. That's how I met you guys.
That's right.
But I want to get Mr. Chan in the conversation, because Mr. Karkama also spoke about how community policing might differ in different parts of the country or different regions, right? And we have Mr. Chan here providing that direct responsibility for the West and South. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, President, good morning.
Good morning. Tell me a bit about, perhaps adding to that point, how your style of policing or community policing might differ in your area as opposed to maybe the north and the central parts.
Well, to say that the west and the southern areas of the country have different demographics. And we are trying to, being that I'm responsible for the voluntary special constables and the citizens on patrol, we need to engage with the community. And for that, that's why we're here, because we want to reach out and network ourselves so that we can reach out and get everybody engaged. And right now we're having a recruiting drive for the Voluntary Special Constable. We're trying to get citizens on patrol, and most important, the Citizens Advisory Committee. These are, like how Mr. Kako has emphasized, these are people that we identify that are leaders and bring together all the persons together, right, stakeholders and so on. It is different. The crime, the situations, the demographics is totally different. In the South, you have cultural activities. In the West, you have
Agriculture.
yes, agriculture
farming.
and so on. So you find out that bringing all the stakeholders together could help each other from the east to the north, south to the west. So it is a joint effort from the police and the community for us to work together.
One of the things I appreciate you saying, both of you have said you bring in leaders from within communities and you engage them. Because what I'm also learning is that when you want to inspire change among the masses, you don't necessarily have to convince everybody.
That's right.
Right? You convince those who are willing to be convinced, or those who are willing to come on board at first, and from there, once they've bought into the vision, then now you have a group, a 10% that you can use to spread the vision. But what do you tell those people? What do you tell those 10%? What do you tell those leaders?
Okay, over the past we have learned that a lot of times we usually go into the community and say we want to stop certain things, or we want to engage and put certain things. And we have learned that when you do that, when you impose programs or impose activities in community, you do not get the result that you want. So we sit down with the leaders and we identify what are the problems that they are facing. We identify what are the situations and how is it that we as a police can work with them to ensure that we can make life better for them within the area. It is not what the police can do, because it's not the police, you know.
Yeah.
It is the police and the community working in partnership. And if we cannot work in partnership, then we won't be able to go forward properly, as we would say. We can start something, but if you do not get the community involved, if you do not coach them to take ownership of what is happening, then when the police steps out, or when any organization steps out, that program might run for a little while, but then it will fall because you did not get the community involved. And so, speaking to these leaders, we explain, you see what is it that they want first within their community. And then from there, we show that linkage of how we can assist along with the leaders, how we can build that relationship, how we can tap into resources to make life even better within their area.
Where do you go about placing priority when it comes to interacting with members of the community? Because we've been highlighting speaking to leaders, but there's also an important aspect of informing the younger generation as well. Working with young people is also very important and very visible in the type of work that you guys do. Do you have a sense of priority with where you go about placing your resources and your programs? Do we focus more on young people, or do we interact more with leaders in the community who can also share information with the younger population?
I would say both of them. Currently we have some of our programs, in fact, majority of our programs are focusing on leaders, right, within the communities, like what the both deputies have mentioned. But also we do have programs that are running with younger people. For example, you have the Police Youth Cadet Corps, and you have the band that we're competing in the upcoming Band Fest. That attract young people to join the organization, and then we assist them as best as we can. And you also have the other components like the outreach programs, like food programs that we do. And then, of course, we do cleanups as well. But it is, I would say that it is two of them that we look at.
You know, I'm always curious when it comes to how community policing begins in a certain community, where perhaps there might be this sense of a cynical view of, you know, police officers. They just want to enforce their sense of authority, or perhaps where in other cases, like we've been reporting, there's this strain on the level of confidence in the police as well. How do you go about interacting with these people and trying to shift that thinking or that mentality that they would once have about police officers, that, you know, they're maybe a rogue, or they only want to come and take away my voice and stifle and not really protect, and they have their own agendas. How do you shift that thinking when you go and you start community policing for the first time in a community?
First and foremost, you have to look at the approach.
Okay.
There's a specific community within the confines of Belize City that have always been stereotyped by the name and by a little bit the violence. That is not something that we want to do. Like, for example, you would say, I grew up in the south side of Belize City that is predominantly known for crime and violence. We want to make a shift on that in terms of not having that name be stigmatized. So the approach has to be different. We would go into the community, we will listen to them, we will talk to them, we will have a conversation and see where the police can help them. Because truth being told is that some people just need assistance. Assistance in the sense that they don't know who to dialogue with whenever they need certain things to get done. And that is where community policing comes in. For example, if you have an elderly person, that person might not be able to purchase medications. We as a community policing officer, we will go there, get that person's prescription with the person's family's authority, if that is the case, that they cannot reach out, and we will go and purchase it for them. That helps members of the community, that build confidence, build trust. And also, in return, they would communicate to us back and say that, you know what, these are certain things that is happening within my community. Can you assist in this endeavor? If they would see something, they would hear something in relation to crime or violence, then they will communicate back with us.
Talk a bit about the power of listening and, well, dialoguing, but also listening in community policing. How often do you have to give an ear as a community police officer to the needs and the concerns of residents? Like, you're sitting down there like, your uniform, I'm a police officer, but at the same time, I spend time to listen. The power of that in community policing.
Mr. Chan?
Well, I know that our commander is engaging in a lot of training for our police officers, to the mayor fucking public relations and so on. We engage with the youths. There's a lot of mediation that the unit does. So there's a change, I believe, of dynamics when it comes to the way how police operates. And the unit itself engages on that, but we are expanded generally to the whole department. So everybody is part of community policing, and everybody must engage in that good PR.
Yes, it is very much important to understand that as police officers, our main role and function is to work with the community. And when you say about listening, giving that listening ear, part of our job is to do that. We must listen to the community. We're here to serve the community, right? And so going out there into the community, listening to what they have to say, it's not just by just patrolling. You see a police officer patrolling. If someone stops a police officer, it is our job or right to listen to the person's concern. It might not be that every time we can address it or deal with it directly there and then, but that is why we do referrals. I know that Ms. Sabrina spoke about how do you choose the community that you go into, the leaders, right? Surprisingly, we have a lot of people reaching out to the police.
Really?
Right? Whilst, yes, they say that there's not that much trust and confidence, we have a lot of people that have reached out to the police. In fact, I can give one. I've just returned back for about a month now, or 3 weeks, going to a month. And I have been in Sand Hill, working alongside with LIU, working alongside with Community Rehabilitation Department, alongside with our community policing officers from here in Belize City, trying to see how we can build relationship within that area. That is because they reach out to us, the police, and they want to see a difference within the area. And we have had several meetings, and we haven't had the success that we would want, the amount of people coming out. But we haven't given up, because if there's one person out there that wants to see a difference, we want to see a difference with them as well. And so we reach out to them. the community policing is dealing not only with elderlies and dealing with leaders within the area, as Mr. Jones mentioned. We have a lot of youth programs that we cover, and we go into the schools. They do lectures, they do the peace lectures, they used to do the great lectures. There's a program called the Police Crime Prevention Education Program, where we go into the schools to facilitate lectures. Based on things that is happening right now, you notice we have a high rate of bullying happening within schools, right? We also have a rate of sexual assault happening. So we need to go into the schools and facilitate these lessons, and whilst doing so, getting feedback to see how we can address. And it is not just the police. We collaborate with Women's Department, with the Domestic Violence Section, with no gender-based violence section. All right, we work closely with them. We work with Youth Department, right? We go in. We are seeing in the north, there's a lot of youths that have leaned to drugs, crack cocaine, all right? Why do we know that? Because the burglary rate went up. And usually that is one of the problems. And how we address that, we go into the schools, we go into the community, we also get NDAC involved to be part of it. And this is one of the ways that we are working to try to see how we can rebuild that trust within community policing and the police department.
One of the things I find interesting, and well, one of the things I'd hope to see is that one day the police department, let me put it like this, growing up, when a child used to give trouble, at least based on my recollection, used to tell them, I will call the police, right? And then get afraid. But I like what you're saying, because what if one day when a child gives trouble and you say, oh, call the police, then say, well, call me, because now finally I got somebody who could listen to me, right? Versus somebody who arrest me, call them, man, because you know what, listen to me, so the police will finally listen to me. And that's what I'm hearing here in terms of the community policing approach.
It's removing that sense of fear around interacting.
It's really a sense of rebranding, a shift. And I gather, Mr. Jones, that is the objective here. That is the direction you all are heading in.
Right.
And for sure, one that isn't new necessarily. I think it's just important for us to remind the public that this type of work is being done and that there are opportunities to collaborate as well. Throughout the course of the conversation, we've been talking about the involvement with other stakeholders, nonprofits, governmental organizations as well. And Mr. Jones, you opened the conversation by highlighting some of the programs that you have running, some of the challenges involved with others as well. Are there any programs that you would like to maybe extend an opportunity to people tuning in right now, that they could reach out to you guys and say, hey, I could provide this support to community policing. I have human resources. I have funding. Is that, would that be something that you guys would be interested in?
Yes, definitely. We have this program, the Do the Right Thing program. It has not been effective since I think it was 2022, right after COVID, and we did not do any submissions, or we did not receive any submissions in 2023, 2024, and there was only 2 for the northern part of the country, which is Corozal, in 2025. Well, this year is a different year, and we want to see that that program is up and running.
What's the makeup of it? Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. It simply gives second form students, secondary students, the chance to actually get an opportunity in terms of scholarships and things like that. They have been through a challenging situation, either by poverty or by some form of violence.
Some form of adversity.
Yes. But their grade maintains, and they maintains a high average of GPA. I mean, in the A's are between 95 and 100, or depending on that. And the teachers or the principals or the counselor or even the police officer can recommend that this person be recognized for their effort, because that is something that we want to do. Recognize them for their efforts, and they would be compensated. So we have been receiving the applications or submissions for the month of February that recently went, and now we're continuing until May with the hope of tentatively setting the grand graduation or the ceremony in the month of June, July, thereabout, depending on the amount. But that is a program that actually gives you a chance to boost your morale and give you that confidence to go back into school, because that is what we're supposed to do. Again, we want to do a change around. Just a shift again in the Police Youth Cadet Corps. In 1994, that's first started, and we are running like 32 years of experience right now with the Police Youth Cadet Corps. And this year we want to have our 27th annual Police Youth Cadet Corps camp. It is already set in for the Ecumenical High School in Stan Creek, Dangriga, between the 25th of July to the 1st of August. Since it had first started, I was part of that program and recruited as a Police Youth Cadet Corps member. And I have seen the work that was done. I got interested in the program, and it gives you educational trips. It talks to you about life skill challenges, or it gives you mentorship, making good decisions in life. And now I'm a commander with this responsibility to continue that working effort, right? And we do have other persons who have went on to different agencies, different businesses, but I chose to become a police officer because I want to give back to my community. And recruited on one of the areas or within the country, within the Belize city area. It's not an area that was all crystal and all gold and all glamish. It's an area that has seen drugs, of course, violence itself. But like I said, it was a decision that I made because I wanted to be someone in society and know that I'm here, I'm giving back. So persons or sponsors or businesses can reach out to us if it is that they want to sponsor a program, because the Do the Right Thing program
rewards
is based on giving rewards based on the initiative from the communities, businesses.
My final question for you gentlemen is, where does accountability fall into play where the policing, the community policing unit is concerned? We've talked about listening as a key component. We've talked about dialogue as a key component. But what happens when a leader goes astray or a community does not necessarily respond favorably, and you have to go back and say, we've talked about this. You've said this is what you wanted, this is what you wanted, this is a change you want to see in your community, but we're not seeing that change right now. Where does the accountability fall into play? Or do you leave that to the other units?
Well, first of all, when it comes to dealing with community work, we must realize that it takes time, a lot of effort. You can go out there, you can sit with leaders and groups, and you can decide that this is what we want to do. And at the end of the day, some people put in their effort and some don't. We just need to go back to the drawing boards. That is why we use, we deal with the SARA model, right? And so we continue going back to the drawing boards and seeing what is it that is going on. Because when you put certain things in place to happen in a community, sitting down with the community and so forth, there are people with certain responsibilities. If everybody do not do their part, obviously certain things we won't meet the goal or the objective that we want. And when you have reached certain point or a certain timeline and you notice that, or during that checking up, you notice that you are not meeting it, that is where we do the feedback. And part of my responsibility is also accountability when it comes to the programs, to ensure that the programs that are running within the country under community policing are running effectively. And so we have, since we have returned back to community policing, Mr. Jones can tell you that we have spent many times, hours, trying to see how we can put things in place to have accountability, not only for the programs that we have, but for the officers that we have working with us within this program. Because you mentioned something crucial, listening. It is not everyone that is made to be a community policing officer.
I could
Whilst,
imagine.
yes, as a police department, we believe and we say that everyone should be a community policing officer, because we are serving the community. It is not everyone that would sit down and have that patience, have that, so people don't like losing, you know.
Yeah.
So if certain things don't happen, they get all frustrated.
I feel like you guys should be considered like the backbone though of policing too.
Right? So we try to recruit as much police officers that are more passionate for working with the community, and also looking at those who have the qualifications when it comes to social work and so forth, because community policing needs a lot when it comes to social work. And so we are working very much closely with our department. I am glad that the Commissioner of Police and the Ministry is supporting, bringing back and building this community policing initiative within our area, because I can tell you, in the past, when I met Ms. Sabrina and the crowd from Love Foundation and working along with the Youth and Community Transformation Project in the southern part of Belize City, a lot of relationship was built, and we can see a lot of youths that participated in these initiatives.
I see some of them graduating now.
And some
it's
of
amazing.
them, right? So it gives you that feeling to know that what you are doing is for positivity within your area, and these are leaders of the country that are coming up. They will not remain in one area. They will go across the country. And this is what we need to understand. Community policing, while some people want to say immediate response and immediate action, well, not action, but immediate response to what you are doing, it will take a while. So now these same youths that went through the program, that appreciated the program, are across the country. These are some that we can tap into to start other programs and other things.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Gentlemen, we're completely out of time, and so we want to thank you all so much for engaging us in this conversation. We've learned a lot. Our viewers, they appreciate community police, the community policing unit, so much more as a result of this conversation and the work that you all do. So congratulations to all of you, and continue to do the good job you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we have to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. Our next conversation is balancing the scales, uplifting women's voices in Women's Month.